What do you say we get out of San Francisco and away from the crowds for one day? The day trip I'm going to share with you guys includes a hidden small town, some beautiful lakes, redwoods that are not in mere woods, and a quick elevation drop of over 2,500 feet to a beach on the Pacific. San Francisco is a beautiful city, but sometimes you just need to get out of town, and that's what we're going to do today. I have lived in this area pretty much my whole life, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some spots where I'm able to kind of get away from the crowds and into nature. You can easily do this trip in a half day if you're pressed for time. So the first stop of the day is Fairfax, and I want you to find a parking space and walk around this beautiful little town. Fairfax is nestled up against the foothills of Mount Tamalpais, and we're going to be climbing those foothills in a little while. I grew up down the road in San Anselmo, and we always looked at Fairfax as where the hippies lived. And if you look around, there is still that vibe to this beautiful little place. Fairfax is also home to the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame, and you may want to look that up online to see when it's open, if that's interesting to you, because it is a really cool place to kind of stop and check out the history of mountain biking, which some say started here in Marin County. There's a vibe here in Fairfax, and the only way you can experience that vibe is by walking around, maybe grabbing a cup of coffee, having a seat, and watching the world go by. Once you leave Fairfax, you're going to head on over to the Fairfax Road. And what we're going to do is we're going to come to one of the lakes that are nearby. There are actually three. There's Lagunitas, there's Alpine, and there's this. This is Lake Bon Tempe. And Lake Bon Tempe is a great place to get your nature on. You can hike around this lake. It's a 3.5-mile hike, and it'll take you, depending on how fast you go, somewhere around an hour and a half. And what's nice about the hike, well, actually there's lots of nice things about the hike, but it is mostly flat. It is mostly pretty easy to walk on, and a lot of it is in the shade. And there are so many hikes in the Water District land. I am going to link down below to a Water District map. You can click on that and you can kind of explore and find your own hike. As you leave Bon Tempe, you're going to head back down to the Fairfax Road. You're going to take a left and you're going to head up towards Alpine Dam. Once you get past the golf course, you are in the Big Empty. And the reason they call it the Big Empty is because there's nobody there. And you will notice that as you're driving through the area, pull off and shut the car off and take in the view and the silence of this area. The fact that this area is so close to San Francisco that you can be alone within an hour in the way that you can is just one of the things that I love about this particular place in the world. As you arrive at Alpine Dam, you're going to notice kind of that it's pretty old. It was built in 1913 and it was raised, I think, about 25 years later to its present height. One of the consulting engineers was O'Shaughnessy, and O'Shaughnessy was the guy who built a lot of notable public works projects in San Francisco, as well as the kind of world-renowned San Francisco water system. That system goes from the Sierra Nevada to San Francisco without a pump. One of the crazy things about this loop is you can run into multiple kind of different climate zones. You could start in San Francisco in the fog, get into Fairfax and come up the hill, and it can be sunny and warm like this. And now we're going to go up to the ridge, up to Mount Tamalpais. And if you can see over my shoulder there, there's a little bit of fog. I fully expect when we get to the top, to Ridgecrest Boulevard, for it to be a whiteout, or if we're lucky, the fog is going to be clearing and we'll get a view. Let's check it out. So we are now heading up this section of the Bolinas-Fairfax Road after Alpine Dam, and it is freaking narrow and it is curvy, like curvy crazy. And it becomes really clear as you drive the road that it was done a long time ago, and they probably really designed it, really designed it for wagons, and they didn't have the equipment to carve out this big, wide, easy road. So be prepared. It is twisty-turvy, it is narrow, there are bicyclists, redwood trees, and overall it's just a really fun drive. When you get to the top of Bolinas-Fairfax Road, you're not going to continue over down it. You're going to take a left along Ridgecrest Boulevard. And Ridgecrest Boulevard is just a beautiful, beautiful road that allows you access to views of the Pacific. If the weather is just right, kind of the fog creeping up the ridge, it has got so much going for it. Get out of the car, walk around, take it in. I can't even tell you, I mean, I can show you, look at how wet it is up here. Literally 5 minutes from that dam down there, we are now in the redwoods. You can hear the drips kind of hitting the ground, and you can see that we are in a completely different environment. Now, it's not always like this, but you should definitely check the weather, because you could get up here and maybe you're thinking about kind of catching a sunset, and that's not going to happen when it's like this. The other thing to be aware of on Ridgecrest Boulevard, the sign there, it's sunset to 9 a.m., okay? The road is closed, and they do a sweep before they close it to make sure you're out of there, but they really don't want you up here after dark, and they will enforce that. Okay, we got a nerd alert. I want to show you guys something. Okay, it may be a little dark down here, but you can see this stump. And what this stump is a remnant from time gone by. This area was filled with old growth redwood trees when the white man came to the area, and Mount Tamalpais had pockets of them everywhere. And what did they do? Whack! And this is a really rare thing to see because most of these stumps from long ago, they're gone. So I saw this and I thought maybe, yeah, well, there it is. So I'm here at the Laurel Dell Trailhead on Ridgecrest Boulevard. It heads off that way. It's a 7-mile hike to Laurel Dell and 7 miles back. So it's a pretty burly hike, and I'm not sure I would recommend it. A couple of things to keep in mind. There are rattlesnakes. There is mountain lions, maybe only one. And on a day like today, you could start out foggy and cold, and 2 hours later, it could be 20, 25 degrees hotter. Whatever hike you choose, it's going to be a winner. Just pick something that is kind of right for you and whoever you're with, and get after it. As you get to the end of Ridgecrest Boulevard, you're going to want to continue to East Peak of Mount Tamalpais. The road signs should get you there. And Mount Tamalpais is visible from so many places within the San Francisco Bay Area. When you're up there, you really get a view all around the bay, and it is well worth dealing with a few people to take in the views that you're going to get from the top of Tam. So this is a great example from Mount Tam of how the fog kind of creeps in and blankets the Bay Area. If you look at this picture in the middle, you can see that bridge. That's Highway 101, and that's what you came across this morning if you're doing the loop. We are now up on the top of Mount Tam, and this is the highest point in the loop. What's going to happen today is this fog is going to kind of retreat, and then this evening it's going to creep back in. And that's one of the ways that we maintain really pleasant temperatures here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So one of the things I really like about this lower trail, it's under a mile, it goes around Mount Tamalpais, and it's going to allow you to see a full 360-degree view of kind of the loop that we were on. On one side is San Francisco, the freeway, the Water District lands, Bolinas Ridge, and the ocean. All along this round walk, you will see it all, and I really recommend you do that, and if you want to go to the top, do that as well. Make sure you stop by and see the Mount Tamalpais Gravity Railroad exhibit here. On the weekends, you can actually go in and see the car, but the signage here is really good. I'm not going to go too deep into this. If you're interested, look it up online because it's kind of fascinating. People came the turn of last century from San Francisco, took a train up to the top here, gravity rode it back down, and apparently it was a great time. So a drop of 2,500 feet got us here. We are now at 0 elevation, and I think the temperature has dropped at least 25 degrees, as you can tell by my down jacket. We are at Rodeo Beach. One of the things I really love about this beach is the access is pretty easy. You can park and you're on the beach in no time. I'm kind of hiding out of the wind, but as you can see, all around me are old military bases. And this area, and kind of many spots around the mouth of the Golden Gate, it was really controlled by the military for a long time because it was so important strategically to America that they protect this area. Now, in the 50s and 60s, the military started to move out, and it was in 1972 that this area was designated the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. And the GGNRA by itself, it's a huge area. It's 81,000 acres, and it kind of spreads up and down the coast from north to south around the San Francisco Bay. There are many places to explore, and this is just one small place. But there's a lot to see here, and I suggest that you go ahead and make sure you download some type of map or bring a physical map if that's your thing, because once you get out here, cell phone reception is pretty spotty, and there's a good chance you won't have it. So overall, this day trip, it took me about 6 hours. I stopped in Fairfax for coffee, I hiked around Bon Tempe Lake, I stopped in a lot of places, and obviously I shot some video. You may do it quicker than that, or you may take a little extra time. That's really up to you. But regardless of how long it takes you, it will be well worth your time. So we're here in Fort Cronkhite. So we are in Fort Cronkhite. Cronkhite, here at Fort Cronkhite, within Fort Cronkhite. We are in Fort Cronkhite in the Golden Gate Recreational Area, and Rodeo Beach is right over there.